Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining in this very interesting update here on price action of Bitcoin. As you can see guys, just like how we anticipated, the Fed slashes interest rate by half a point, an aggressive start to its first easing campaign in 4 years. Yes, the Federal Open Market Committee chose to lower its key overnight borrowing rate by a half a percent point or 50 basis points amid signs that inflation was moderating and the labor market was weakening. It was the first interest rate cut since the early days of COVID pandemic back from 2020. The committee has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2% and judges that the risks to achieving its employment and inflation goal are roughly in balance, the Federal Reserve statement said, and this has definitely boosted the entire market. And if we look at the dominance now for Bitcoin, this dominance also looks like preparing itself for another continuation, because if this horizontal trend line gets flipped into support here in a monthly time frame, this is a Bitcoin dominant chart guys. If this here gets flipped into support, this horizontal trend line around 58%, then the next area of confluence is going to be another horizontal trend line which sits around 69%. So this candle, if it closes above this horizontal trend line, then the upcoming days for Bitcoin actually looks very bullish. I mean, holding Bitcoin compared to altcoin looks profitable, because the Bitcoin dominance in that case could be heading towards the 69% to 70%. And now if you look at this price action of Bitcoin, you can see guys, this is very interesting, because on my previous video I showed you we have to find support above this 50 weighted moving average if you want to turn the price of Bitcoin bullish. And now this here clearly is piercing through this 50 weighted moving average, and also looks like this weekly candle might find support above it. And if we actually manage to find support, not just only this week candle, for better confirmation, even the next weekly candle above 50 weighted moving average, which currently sits around 60,000, I personally think that is going to trigger another bullish move here to the upside. And for now, in between 66,000 to 70,000 is where we are expecting the price of Bitcoin to get attracted before choosing an actual trend duration. But I personally think this here is preparing itself for another massive move. And if this descending broadening wedge scenario plays out, you can see a new all-time high is imminent. And parallelly, in a monthly time frame, we did talk about this horizontal trendline resistance on my previous video. I showed you guys that this horizontal trendline here in the past price action acted as a strong line of resistance and even as a support for Bitcoin. But now if we look at it carefully, we are not just only above this lower trendline, this lower horizontal trendline, but even above this falling wedge, which is a bullish continuation pattern. So if you simply look at this price action using this falling wedge in a monthly time frame, you can see we do look like preparing ourselves for another continuation, which could turn the price of Bitcoin very bullish. And even if it fakes out, even if the price shows another continuation here to the downside, you can see guys, remaining in between 58 to 60,000 means this is just a pullback, temporary pullback, before expecting another continuation here to the upside. So it doesn't matter weekly time frame, monthly time frame, price remaining in between 58 60,000, or let's say above 60,000, is definitely a sign that the upcoming days for Bitcoin is going to be bullish. And why bullish? Because even with the help of this symmetrical triangle, we can see this trend line, this upper trend line, which rejected us a couple of times in the past price action, turned out to be support, right? And now it might be showing another continuation for the upcoming days, because according to the symmetrical triangle, our price objective sits around 70,000. So that is another reason in between 66 to 70,000 is where I am actually expecting the price of Bitcoin to slowly get attracted. And even if it fakes out, you can see even if this fakes out, this falling trend line, which in the past price action rejected us, will be our support. And that also sits around 59,000 to 60,000. So we have support around 59 60,000. So any sort of a pullback could be just a temporary pullback. And now, even according to this Williams alligator indicator, this indicator has turned bullish again, and it could be resulting in an actual bullish move from here on. I mean, the price of Bitcoin could be preparing itself for an actual bullish continuation like this. So what I'm trying to pinpoint here is that since the indicator to the downside RSI is above 50. MACD has already crossed bullish. T3CCI also in a positive territory, which is clearly indicating this move, this bullish move could be real. I mean, not a fake out. So any sort of a pullback, you can see the upper trend line from this symmetrical triangle will be holding us. 50 weighted moving average will be holding us, and even the support from this Williams alligator will be holding us in between 59,000 to 60,000. So any sort of a pullback, price remaining above that range means just a temporary pullback, because we know we have clearly managed to find support above this CPR indicator, the monthly CPR for the month of September. And we know if the price of Bitcoin closes the monthly candle above this CPR trend line, the next month CPR will be an ascending CPR, and ascending CPR only gets formed during uptrend. So that's why, guys, that's why if this here is going to result in a bullish continuation, then we are going to close the monthly candle above the CPR line, which is around 58,000. And that is another reason why remaining above this trend line, remaining above 58,000, 60,000, that could be a sign that the upcoming days for Bitcoin is going to be bullish. And according to the CPI indicator, the first target for this month of September sits around 66,000. So you can see 66,000 to 70,000 will be looked as our upcoming target for Bitcoin. And not just only because of this CPI indicator, but even according to this descending channel, because this descending channel central line or the middle line was acting as a strong line of resistance. But I was there. I showed you guys that as long as we remain above this 57, 58,000, it will be looked as, this pullback will be looked as a temporary pullback before expecting another continuation here to the upside. And if you look at it right now, exactly after testing the support around 57,000, we started hitting it to the upside, breaking the middle line or the center line, which could be also preparing ourselves for another continuation, at least towards the upper trend line before deciding the trend duration. And this upper trend line also sits around 66,000 range. So that is another reason why I personally believe this move could be heading towards 66 to 70,000, and only after that it's going to choose an actual trend direction. But if we look at this in a bit different way, I mean, if you look at this price action using this ascending broadening wedge, which is a bearish continuation pattern, what I think could be happening here, this upper trend line has rejected us again and again in the past price action. Lower trend line acted as one of the strongest support for Bitcoin. So what could be happening here? If the price shows another bullish continuation like this, we could be, right? We could be getting attracted back towards this upper trend line from this ascending broadening wedge before choosing an actual trend duration, because this upper trend line also sits around 66,000. So that's why this here, right? This scenario could be playing out first before showing another continuation like this, and then finally breaking out. And even if this happens, even if the price after testing the ranges from this 67,000 gets attracted back towards this lower trend line, this lower trend line will be above 60,000. So there is nothing to worry about as long as we remain above 60,000. So that is another reason, guys. Any sort of a pullback but price remains above 59,000 to 60,000 will be a buying opportunity. And what are we expecting after that? You can see a new bullish continuation pattern for Bitcoin. So this is what I wanted to share with you in this video. If you enjoyed my vlog, then please, guys, please do not hesitate to destroy that like button. And to those individuals watching this for the first time, hit that subscribe button. And also a quick reminder, if you haven't claimed this free 500 USDT futures position airdrop from Bybit, and in addition to that another 200 USDT futures position airdrop from Bybit, then I suggest you guys to check the video description. And by saying this, I'm signing out until next time. Bye bye.